Good morning, Boerne. This is Jeff Flinn. I'm the managing editor at the Boerne Star. Thanks for joining us on the Boerne Brew. Thanks for listening to Boerne Radio, making that a part of your day. Holidays are right upon us. Busy weekends going on down here. You know, today is the 29th, and today is Dickens on Main Part 2. Last night was the Christmas tree lighting, and I heard somebody say that 75% of the Dickens on Main attendees are from out of town. Be nice to these folks. They're here enjoying Boerne and reveling in Dickens on Main and Christmas. It's just outstanding, just a great time. I've got a guest here to talk about the holidays. We've already eaten a turkey. There are leftovers in the fridge. But not everybody has that. Not everybody has a big Thanksgiving meal laid out for them. But we make sure that people do have food to eat. That's what this is about. There's a thing called the Day Without Hunger, but we have 364 other days a year to talk about. And I've got Olivia Burdick here with Meals on Wheels. Olivia, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, Meals on Wheels. It's one of those stereotypical things we grew up with. Everybody's heard of Meals on Wheels. When I first interviewed Olivia, I called and said, how many of those little truck van things do you guys have? And she said, 0. So, Olivia, tell us about the Meals on Wheels here in Boerne and Kendall County. The numbers you were throwing at me just astounded me. I was flabbergasted. Start.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have been providing Meals on Wheels as a service in Kendall County for 42 years. Mm-hmm. We serve all over this community: Boerne, Comfort, Candelia, Waring, Welfare, all of the parts of this community to ensure that all of our older adult neighbors are fed, nourished, and cared for. And so not only providing that daily nutritious hot meal, but also caring for them, making sure that they're safe and well in their homes.
Before we go any further, I want everybody that's listening, I like you to get out a pen and a piece of paper or a pad, or open the notepad on your Android or your iPhone, because we're going to talk about numbers and things you can do and ways you can help. When I went out and talked to Olivia a couple weeks ago, found out that she had 14 routes in Boerne.
14 routes a day.
14 routes a day. And these drivers get in there, hop in their vehicles, pack the meals into the car, and it's their own cars, their own gas, their own volunteer time. Tell me about how superb these folks are for you.
We have volunteers that have been delivering meals for over 15 years. Wow. Religiously. The same route, the same individuals that they're serving. They've established so many wonderful relationships and really look out for these individuals that maybe don't have a family member close or even a neighbor in this community. They may just be out there by themselves. And so
Meals on Wheels is more than just Meals on Wheels. It's a way, like you talked to regular, if Jeff Flinn has a route going through, I don't, but let's say I do have a route going through Waring and Welfare and into Comfort, those people look forward to me coming. And they're going to welcome me at the door. How you doing, Jeff? How you doing, Olivia? That goes on. And it's also a welfare check.
Absolutely. I mean, even just this morning, my receptionist was letting me know that one of our clients had called to thank us for and to communicate with the driver that was looking out for them yesterday when they weren't feeling well. Every piece of this matters. Even that check-in, noticing things about our clients that somebody else may not notice because the relationships are real. Right.
Let's talk about the clients. Who are some of the clients?
So we serve primarily individuals 60 and above. Mm-hmm. That could mean somebody who is just recovering from a surgery or a medical procedure that needs it short term, all the way through somebody who is going to need a daily hot meal every single day for maybe the rest of their life.
When we talked earlier, you said you're free of a waiting list. You mentioned so many Meals on Wheels programs across the nation have waiting lists of up to 3 and 4 weeks, 3 or 4.
So actually on a national scale, Meals on Wheels America has done a lot of work with surveys and surveying all of their membership across the whole United States. And 1 in 3 programs nationwide currently has a waiting list for food. And we're talking about arguably one of the most vulnerable populations. They're homebound. They can't get out and work anymore. They can't cook for themselves. Lots of chronic conditions, medical challenges. And so 1 in 3 programs nationwide has a waiting list for food with an average wait time of 3 to 4 months.
And you're fortunate enough not to have to go through that, correct?
Yes.
Are you ready to take on? I mean, we tell people today, if you know somebody, if you are somebody, if you have a neighbor, a relative, somebody you sit by at church, somebody who's, your son knows somebody at school whose grandparents come in on Grandparents' Day to eat because that's the food for the day. Something like that. How do we get people to turn out for two reasons to Meals on Wheels? One, you have that person, or two, you want to help.
I think that's what community is all about, is taking care of your friends, taking care of your neighbors, taking care of your family. And so if you know of somebody that is looking for that service, please give us a call and we will assess them and serve them. But it also takes the community to provide funding to help ensure that we don't have to ever get to a point where we have a waiting list in Kendall County for food for older adults in this
community. What's that number? What's a phone number, an email address, a website that you give all that stuff?
Our website is www.thecenterboerne.org, and our phone number is 830-249-2114.
Give them a call, folks, if you have any questions about the program. It runs out of the center.
It does.
Formerly the Kronkowski Center. All the meals come out of there. Your meals are cooked, prepared, packed, and shipped out of the center. Tell me about that.
Absolutely.
What time do people come in? Do you take a count every day? Is it the same Monday through Friday? Or do you have Jeff's off seeing Roland in San Antonio. He's not going to be here today. Do you have any checklists like that or updates, or how do we work that?
So we have two different programs under the nutrition umbrella. We have Meals on Wheels. Mm-hmm. Most individuals that we're serving through that program are needing a hot meal delivered to them daily. We do work with dietary restrictions, allergies, medically tailored to a certain extent for some individuals. We're serving about 56,000 meals a year through that program. We also have our daily lunch program at the center itself, where people are coming and attending that daily lunch, and we're doing probably about 17,000 meals a year through that program. Wow. And that lunch is served every day at noon.
Mm-hmm. Now, folks, you understand we're not sitting down here at Boerne Radio Studios Saturday morning at 8 a.m. These are taped. What is today's meal for Meals on Wheels? Do you have an idea? Or what was the meal when I came out the other day?
Well, today's meal is a little special because we're doing our Thanksgiving meal.
Oh, are you? Okay, cool.
So we have turkey and all of the fixings that go along with that special meal. So we'll have a little bit bigger of a day today.
Well, that's good. That's good that you take that into consideration, because those people need a Thanksgiving also.
Absolutely. I mean, whether they're coming to the center for the lunch, that may be their Thanksgiving, or, celebrating with friends and being together in that way. Or if you're getting it delivered, that may also be your only Thanksgiving meal.
Right, right. Folks, my name's Jeff Flinn. I'm the managing editor of the Boerne Star newspaper. Here on the Boerne Brew, I have Olivia Burdick. She is the executive director of the Meals on Wheels program here, run out of the center over on Old San Antonio Road. We're talking about Meals on Wheels. The meals that go out are cooked fresh in your kitchen.
Every day.
How many people do that? What time do they have to come in? When do you start cooking? And what times does it go out the door?
We have 3 people on staff that are cooking in our kitchen, making probably close to just shy of 300 meals a day on a big day. They're getting there at 6 in the morning and starting to prep and cook for that day, because everything is made fresh. They're cooking everything, they're traying it up in all the individual trays, ensuring that every route has exactly what meal it needs for each individual that's on it. And those meals are going out the door at about 10:15 or so. All of our drivers are there on the back dock, loading, packing, counting many times to make sure that the counts are correct.
Yeah, when we were there the other day, I was making sure I was out of their way, because they had it down.
It's a system.
It's a system. Tell me about some of the drivers. Again, we want people to volunteer. You're not going to have them volunteer to make meals. It's going to be delivery. It's going to be helping get food out. My daughter, when she was at Judson High School, they had to do community service because her dance troupe was doing community service during a spring break. And we did Meals on Wheels. We drove from my house in Converse over to Babcock Road, picked up 11 or 12 meals, drove over and delivered, went door to door on all the doors. And it was sweet. She said it was eye-opening for a teenager to see people who might not have somebody in their lives. So, and there was a sweet guy after day 2, after Tuesday, we took our stuff back to drop it off. I said, there's this guy that's like 3rd or 4th in line. Can we move Joe? And they started laughing. They knew exactly who I was mentioning. He said, yeah, you can move him last. Just tell him tomorrow. Because he talked to us for like half an hour. Yeah. He had his desk, the garage door went up, and he had a little table there, and he waved us in. We put the food down, and he thanked us. So, okay, thank you. And he kept talking. Where are you from? I haven't seen you. So we had to explain the whole, oh, you're in dance. Oh, do you like high school? Just went on. And we went back. My daughter's like, God, I never thought he was going to shut up. We got in the car. By Friday, she's like, "Oh, I'm going to miss Joe."
Exactly.
And
exactly.
that camaraderie that developed. Well, we actually did another week.
Yeah.
So I took her out of school for an hour at lunchtime. We did 2 weeks, which was fun. She enjoyed it, and it was great that she said, "I want to do it again. Can we do it again?" For a 16 or 17-year-old, she wasn't lost. She wasn't. She wasn't dispassionate about it. Right. It wasn't like, that's over. I did my community service. Now I'm good. She wanted to do it more. Let's get people, again, repeat a phone number and an email address or a website where if you want to volunteer and help this, how long does it take? When people show up, Olivia, if I have a route, what time am I getting there? How long does a route usually take, and when am I done?
Probably going to get there 10:15. It's going to take anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the route. But our Director of Client Services, Esther, does a really wonderful job of pairing our volunteers with their route preferences.
Can people be like a substitute so they can get a taste of it first and say, I don't know if I'm ready to do this 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month, 12 months a year. Can people call and say, well, if you need somebody to do it once, just tell me what I need to do and I can help?
So there's a background check requirement to participate in this program, just because you're putting people out, in people's homes. And so that's kind of one of the, significant qualifying factors for a volunteer. But we do have 2 groups of people that we work with. We have people who want their regular route, every single week. And then we have people who say, call on me, I'm a sub.
Okay.
And, they're probably getting notified daily, depending on what routes they're comfortable with doing. But I know, and when you were over, you were able to meet Randy and his wife, Kunkek, and they're subs for us. And so they say, sign me up. I will do whatever route you need me to do. They're so wonderful and so willing to help. But all of our volunteers are really in whatever capacity.
So our listeners here today, folks, you can do this. If I can do it, if I can take my daughter out, and it's great to go in 2s.
Yes.
It's great to go in 2s. If we can do it, you can do it. You just call Olivia at 830-249-2114. I got it, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Of course, I wrote it down here. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
But you call that number and say, I'd like to find out more about Meals on Wheels. What do I got to do to help? And, I've got a background check to undergo and make sure I'm pristine, make sure I'm ready to go. And if somebody's going to volunteer, do you call them at 6 in the morning and say, hey, get over by 10, or is that a 24-hour notice?
No, we have a system that we use that can send out notifications. We try and be as proactive as possible in needing subs, so we can let our group know for the whole week. I think the other thing we're really trying to do too is partner with local businesses, because when you have an individual that's doing it, well, that individual calls out sick or has whatever they have going on, and then we have to backfill with a sub. And sometimes that can be challenging because people have lots of stuff that they, priorities in their own lives. But if you get a business to partner with you and you background check multiple people through that business or organization, then they kind of cover themselves. And so, or, they can rotate out accordingly. And that's extremely helpful to the program.
I can believe that. Olivia Burdick is the CEO of Meals on Wheels here in town. She's my guest today. My name is Jeff Flinn on the Boerne Brew. I'm the managing editor at the Boerne Star newspaper. We get together with the Boerne radio folks here once a week and do what we're doing today. A lot of people astound me when you're stunned or you're just astounded by what you're hearing. Folks, I don't know, when COVID hit, I don't know if you guys remember the year before COVID, 2019. What was your life like in 2019? It seems like that's
So
a
long
century
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
I mean, we finally put COVID behind us, but before COVID, seems like so long ago, but yet Olivia Burdick is running a program today on the same federal budget she had in 2019. Explain that.
That's correct. So
Explain that. I'm just astounded.
yeah, I mean, in 2019, we were being funded at a certain, level. And when everything happened through the pandemic, a lot of organizations like ours got additional funding to help with the fact that everybody over 60 was then qualifying for services through that time. So we are still today serving about 9,000 more meals a year than what we were doing in 2019, because you had that huge surge. You had some people come off the program, but then you ended up having people that stayed on and ended up qualifying when all those factors came back into play. But now all of that extra funding has now gone away, which
and it hasn't been replaced.
It hasn't been replaced. So in 2019, funding wasn't keeping pace then. And then, so now we're back to 2019 funding levels.
So you're way behind.
I shouldn't
behind.
Say every day.
No, Olivia Burdick's not way behind.
I mean, you could probably say that.
Federal funding comes in from the federal and state.
It's a combination of federal and state, primarily through the Older Americans Act.
Looked it up
at the federal level.
It was 1965.
Yes, 1965.
Yeah. It was created for a great reason, because in '65 there was a swath of middle to lower income folks who didn't have jobs and had no means of meals, and so Meals on Wheels was created to fill that void nationwide. I can't remember where it started, but I was reading up on it, and it continued. But it's continued in the same funding structure since the day it was created. It needs a modern twist. It needs to be reformed or re-energized or refocused or something. So 9,000 more meals on the same dollar. On the same funding as 2019. How much does it cost? It's almost 2026. Yeah. How much does it cost to make a meal? With those meals I saw Alan creating and sending out to the Hurwitzes, how much does it cost to manufacture, to make that meal, from the purchase of the goods to cooking, to get him in the planters, to get him into the trays, and get the trays delivered? How much does that cost? It is over $8 a meal. Okay. And how much are you being subsidized? How much of that is covered? So if we get funded for that meal, because we do not get funding for all of the meals that we're serving, but we are capturing $646. So there's going to be a gap regardless. And then a lot of our meals just go unfunded because there's not enough funding. Right. Wow. So every meal going out of there is not fully funded. Correct. And that's where, somebody once said it takes a village. It takes a community. I'm always astounded by Boerne, which turns out in huge fashion when we have a July 4th flooding, or we have Hill Country Daily Services needs something, or the Hill Country Daily Bread Ministries is having a gala. Boerne turns out in monumental proportions for those things. Kendall County, outside of Comfort, the Equestrian Center, when they have events there, it's packed. People flock there. And we're going to see tonight what it's like on Main Street for Dickens on Main. Boerne turns out. And Boerne is a very philanthropic community. Tell us about the need for that to continue and how we're getting back to this situation where families are taking care of families. We had the nuclear family, and it kind of exploded in the 80s, 90s, aughts. And now we're kind of drifting back to some of that nuclear family. Well, and I think that's really what we're seeing. And I think COVID really brought that to light with the funding and now no funding. And it really has to come from the local community, because at the federal level, it's not keeping pace. And we're getting what we can get from that, and we're tapping into pretty much every avenue that we can. But fundraising for Meals on Wheels is something that's top of mind for me every single day. Right. Because what it means to not fundraise for Meals on Wheels means that somebody is going without food, and that's non-negotiable for us. But being in Boerne and being in Kendall County and being in this community,
we know that we can get it done. We know that there's so many other people out there that are so passionate about the same things that we're passionate about, and making sure that people are taken care of and fed in this community.
Yep. My grandmother received Meals on Wheels back in Ohio for some time after she had surgery and lost her sight. And they would come in, and I was there one week. It must have been in the summer when I was there. I was a kid, probably mid-teens, and the woman came to the door and gave my grandma her meal, and I said hi and everything like that, and the woman went on, and she came back like 25 minutes later and said, I've got one more meal. Yeah. Do you want it? She offered it to me. She said, I had one person who wasn't there. I said, do you have to go back to them? She says, yes. I said, well, take it back to them, and if they're not there, bring it back, and I'll have Granny, she'd save it for tomorrow. That kind of thing. Grandma, oh, you're so sweet, that kind of thing. But she was checking up on her. She was checking up on her like that.
And that's what it's all about.
Right. It's about community and family. And there's no better community than Boerne. There's no better way to throw your arms around a community. And the people who are receiving these could be that teacher you had in that elementary school teacher you had in 1976. Exactly. It's that those ladies, those cute little ladies that sit down on that end pew down there at church. They're receiving these things. It's that former postal worker who used to leave little notes on your doorstep back in the day when he delivered to your mailbox hanging on your front door. It's the former milkman. When they delivered milk to your door. It's these folks who are out there receiving this. It's not like a sterile, nondescript alien community. These are people. These are
real people.
Are part of your lives,
right?
And it's a big thing for them to have a connection with us, to feel connected. The Hurwitzes, I met them, and they were very interesting folks. They say, hey, we go do this whenever we get called. So, folks, we want you guys to volunteer. We want you to look out for your neighbors. If you know somebody that might be in need, who could be on the roll. Now, there's not an income requirement, correct? It's not like, oh, you have to send us your tax statement and your last 2 pay stubs.
That is correct. And a lot of people think that income is a requirement for the program, but as defined in the Older Americans Act in 1965, it is based on activities of daily living, meaning how well someone can care for themselves. And, even if somebody is high income, that doesn't mean that they have the capacity to care for themselves in the spot that they are in their life right now. And
even if they had been able to care for themselves and all of a sudden they have back surgery.
Right.
And that, my mother is, she's born in 36, so she's 89, 88, and she's a go-getter. Yeah. She's up and around, but the other day she wrenched her back in Tennessee, and she's almost bedridden. I'm trying to find people that'll go check on her that I know in her community, because I'm not, I can't drive to Tennessee and back every day. So, here's this woman who's, vitality and vigorous and energetic, and now she's not. Mm-hmm. She's limited to the bed. And that happens to people.
Yeah.
I'm sure it happens to people here in Boerne too. Folks, if you know somebody that needs help, or if you need help, or if you want to volunteer and help, help goes both ways.
Absolutely.
You can help and be helped. Olivia Burdick here wants to hear from you. What's the number again?
830-249-2114.
So give us a call at 830-249-2114. Find out what Meals on Wheels is about. If you want to volunteer a day, try it. If you want to volunteer for a week, try it. And you might find out that it's a thing that would help you connect with other folks who are strangers to you, who after 2 or 3 days are no longer strangers.
Right.
Joe was my daughter's best friend. And we did her out. She was like, oh, I miss Joe. So, folks, thanks for tuning in. Meals on Wheels at the center, formerly the Kronkowski Center. Give them a ring. Look them up on the website if you want to help out. Again, please help. We don't want anybody. She has no waiting list. So if somebody needs help, she can get it to them this week.
Yep.
She can get this week. So, folks, keep your eyes open. And, hey, enjoy the weekend. While we're talking about the weekend, this is Saturday the 29th. I will see you on Dickens on Main somewhere. I'll have my family here for the first time. They're going to enjoy it. Olivia, do you have plans this weekend? Do you have plans today?
I'm actually going to Dickens, so I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm going to bring my kids. It's always a great time, so looking forward to it.
Well, folks, listen, thanks very much. Thanks for tuning in as you always do. Next week, Kerry Barboza will be back talking sports with some sports person here in town. He's got a million of them. So thanks for tuning in. Olivia, thanks for coming in. We thank you
so
for your
much.
time. Roland, thanks for running the board there. Roland Reese, he's our man here at Boerne Radio, gets things to happen for us. So take care. God bless, and we'll see you this weekend. Bye-bye.